Macmillan Audio presents The Worlds I See. Curiosity, Exploration, and Discovery at the Dawn of AI. Written by Fei-Fei Li. Narrated for you by Cindy Kay.
This is Melinda French Gates, and I hope you enjoyed this audiobook from Moment of Lift Books. Moment of Lift Books publishes original nonfiction from visionaries working to unlock a more equal world for women and girls. To learn more, visit momentoflift.com.
1. Pins and Needles in D.C. The hotel lobby was plain and unpretentious, reflecting an itinerary that valued proximity over luxury, and the ambiance was gentle. Polite conversations between guests and the concierge, the hum of rolling suitcase wheels, the periodic whir of glass doors opening and closing. But I felt anxious, and the hurried clacking of my boots on thin carpet seemed to echo my mood. As a lifelong academic on my way to testify before the House Committee on Science, Space, and Technology on the topic of artificial intelligence, I suppose nerves were to be expected. But they weren't helped by the red-eye flight from the West Coast, the near-total lack of sleep the night before, or the tense rehearsing of my statement, again and again and again, that had filled the preceding hours. It was June 26, 2018, and each passing minute brought me closer to a career first, an appearance at, of all things, a congressional hearing. A pale morning was waiting outside as I stepped onto the sidewalk. The street was densely lined with federal buildings, blunt and monochrome, worlds away from the scenery I was used to in California, where tract housing and trendy office parks abounded, accented by the occasional burst of mission-style architecture. Here, even the masonry felt heavier, and certainly older. The Capitol is a place that wears its history on its sleeve. I recalled my first visit here, before AI, before academia, and before Silicon Valley, when the entirety of my identity, as far as the world was concerned anyway, fit within the confines of a single word: immigrant. Trips are trying affairs for cash-strapped families with minimal English-speaking skills. Most activities fall into two categories: free and prohibitively expensive. And so much is clouded by a second language haze that never seems to disperse. Even so, my memories of a visit to the National Air and Space Museum still sparkled. Its life-sized exhibits demonstrated the scale and gallantry of aerospace history, overwhelming my senses and igniting my imagination. I was reminded that even as a teenage girl living well beyond the margins of society, the world I wanted to inhabit most of all was that of science. Unlikely as it seemed at the time, I found my way to the furthest reaches of that world in the years that followed. Not aerospace, but the science of the mind, and the still nascent study of intelligent machines. And when a breakthrough technique called deep learning began making history barely a decade into my career, AI became a very big deal. Although it had taken more than a half-century for the necessary preconditions to align, historic milestones in the evolution of algorithms, large-scale data, and raw computing power, all converging at the dawn of the 2010s, it took less than a half-decade for the capabilities they unleashed to change the world. Businesses were transformed, billions of dollars were invested, and everyone from industry analysts to political commentators to philosophers was left scrambling to make sense of a technology that had seemed to explode overnight from an academic niche to a force for global change. If nothing else, the sheer speed and scope of AI's emergence, arguably unprecedented in all of history, warranted the attention of legislators like the ones I'd soon faced.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?